Hi, this is Scott with 4D Tech. Today we are in a 13 to 16 body style Ford Fusion that came MyFord Touch Sync 2 equipped, but lacks navigation. We are going to be performing the MyFord Touch Sync 2 navigation upgrade kit from 4D Tech in this vehicle. We will need a few basic tools to perform this installation. Phillips and flathead screwdriver, 7mm nut driver, and some plastic dash removal tools. The dash removal tools and 7mm nut driver are available on our website for your convenience. Let's get started with the installation. To begin disassembly, we'll take one of our dash removal tools and we need to first remove this black piece of trim around the shifter. We'll start by getting underneath this edge between the shifter and the black trim and just pull up on the black trim to release the clips that are down underneath. Then we'll work our way around to pop the front clips as well. Once that's released, we'll lift it and move it out of the way. Next, we need to take this small piece of silver trim out around here. And that you'll start up at the corner and get your tool underneath the edge and begin to unclip and work our way around. Next, we need to remove this silver piece of trim that runs all the way around the radio. We're going to start down at the bottom edges, which is slightly out of your view, but you saw it earlier when we took apart the pieces around the shifter. But you'll start by getting the dash tool underneath the silver edge between the panel and the dash and begin to release the plastic dash. And help it out with your hand as you go around. When we get up to the top, we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. We'll start down near the bottom and work our way up. And then we'll work our way around the top. Once that's released, we'll take this dash panel and put it out of our way. Next, we need to get the control panel off from the front of the screen, and that you have to take two 7mm screws out on either side here. We'll do that with our 7mm nut driver. With those two screws out, we need to unsnap the panel. There's a couple clips behind these corners. We can use our dash removal tool to help, but mostly you'll get your fingers underneath this edge and get back in here and release the clips. Some clips will be tighter than others depending on how warm your vehicle is and if the vehicle's been a couple years old and been serviced in a shop or anything where this had to come off, then the clips might come off a little bit easier. Once those are released, we'll pull this panel out, swing it around, and we want to unplug these two connectors to get it out of the way. First, for this connector, you push in on the clip where my thumb is and unplug the connector. Same thing with this. There's a little bit smaller clip. Push that with your fingernail and you can work the connector out. And we'll also set this panel aside. Next, we need to take the four 7mm screws out that are holding the screen in the dash. With the four screws out, we'll pull the screen outward and turn it so we can disconnect it. There are two connectors on the back of here that need to be taken out. This USB connector, you push in on the tab where my thumb is, squeeze it, and unplug the connector. The main connector here has a gray lever that swings down to release it. There's a little lock in front of the gray lever where I'm pushing in with my fingernail, and then I'm pulling the gray lever towards myself, and that pushes the connector out, and then pull it the rest of the way out. Next, we need to replace the APIM, which is the MyFord Touch Sync 2 brain that's on the back of the screen, with the navigation equipped one from 4D Tech. I suggest doing this on a soft surface or on a table or so on top of the foam that came in the box that you got the unit in from us. For the sake of this video, I'm going to set a cloth in this opening and hold the screen up here so that you can see what I'm doing. To get the APIM off the back of the screen, you need to take out these 4 Phillips screws. Once you have the 4 screws out, the brain just unclips from the back of the screen. You just pull straight out. And you'll see that the brain connects to this connector, and that's how it makes its electrical connection. So we'll now bring in our navigation equipped one from 4D Tech. Align the 2 studs right here in the screw holes. Connector facing down. And once those are aligned, we'll just push it back in for it to seat. And then we just need to put our 4 Phillips screws back in. With the 4 Phillips screws back in, we now need to reconnect this system the same way the old one came out. This is the most crucial connector, the 54-pin main connector. If it's not fully seated, the unit will not function correctly. So you'll take the connector, push it back in the same way it came out of the other one, and push in till the gray lever starts to move. Once that starts to move, use the gray lever and push away from you till it clips in, and that'll fully seat the connector. Next, take the USB connector pointing with the clip pointing up and plug it into the black connector on the APIM. Depending on your APIM, there may be a gray connector also, and that one is unused by Ford, so you do nothing with that. Next, we'll set this back in place and replace our 4 7mm screws that we took out earlier. With the screen back in, now we need to replace the front control panel that we took out. First, we need to plug it back in. First, the wide connector at this end, make sure the clip is facing up. Push it in, make sure you hear it clip. Same thing with this connector, clip facing up, push it in till you hear it click. Make sure those are fully seated for the control panel to work correctly. Now we'll just snap this panel back in the same way that it came off. Be sure to push the clips all the way in, and we'll replace the 2 screws down at the lower corners that we took out earlier. With that panel back in, we'll now replace the silver trim that went all the way around the dash. Just start at the top and work your way down, and just carefully push the clips in until everything fully clips in all the way down to around the shifter. And now we need to put this piece of trim back in. And then next we replace the black piece of trim around the shifter. Set that into place and push the clips back in. Now that our vehicle is reassembled, we need to put the SD card that came with the system from 4D Tech in the SD card slot in the center console in order for the navigation to work. So we'll take our SD card, put it label side up in the center console slot, and you'll push it in until you have it completely click in. Now we'll load up the system. And you'll now see that there's a navigation icon in the green section where it said information before. And when we touch navigation, the maps now come up. Now you see how simple it is to install the Sync to MyFord Touch navigation upgrade from 4D Tech in your 13 to 16 Ford Fusion.